Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is Karen from the Law of Attraction Center, and I've got Cheryl Brewster here with me from the Intuitive Life. And I'm so excited because I've also worked with Cheryl for a long time here and there, and she's awesome. And so I wanted to share her with you today. So welcome, Cheryl. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Karen. It's thrilling to be here. Finally, we've wanted to do this for a long time now.
I know. So again, I'm so pleased, and so we'll just get started. We'll dive right in, and how I've been starting these interviews is really just by asking, how did you know you had this gift that you have?
Well, Karen, I've always been intuitive, so it was just, I think, very natural for me. But I don't think I really knew until I started taking some training.
Yeah.
And the more training I took, the more I was encouraged to do this professionally. It was not in my radar at all to do it, but you know, when you have a calling, you have to listen. So
right. Well, and so you knew you had a calling. So did you? And like you said, it wasn't something you were intending, kind of planning to do. What made you think I have to do this?
I think for me, when I felt so alive and so connected when I did this, mm-hmm. and the relationship that I had with my I wouldn't even call them clients at the time, really important, profound information would come through. Mm-hmm. And what I really appreciated, it was more than just information, it was an experience. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one, I think it's so important when we have callings, we have natural gifts and abilities that come through. We can't, they're just there. We have to listen.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so how would you explain your gifts? How do you work?
Sure. So I work intuitively, which means that basically we're pure energy, as you know, and that's what the law of attraction is all about. So my ability to kind of, read that energy and then submit back to the person, this is where I think you can be more effective in your life. These are some of the things that may be holding you back, and these are some things for you to consider. And really using mindfulness in a way to help people to drop into their own heart so that they can actually really feel it for themselves. And I think that's what sets me apart. It's more than just information, it's an experience, because if you have that experience, you have your own knowing, and it's powerful.
Yeah. And so, okay. So last year, 2016, for a lot of people was a difficult one. It was tumultuous. There's, just all kinds of things that have gone on, and things that were unexpected, and things that a lot of us just didn't think could possibly happen. And so, tell me a little bit about what your view of that is, or what your intuitive guides or whatever. Where does that come from? What's your kind of sense of that and why it happened?
Sure. Well, 2016 was a pretty shocking year, mm-hmm. in many ways, and kind of defied some of the predictions that were out there. I think the reason so much massive change, unexpected change happened is because this is literally coming to balance. Mm. It's like the underbelly has to be revealed in order for there to be growth.
Okay.
So it's very much about, we have the personal unconscious, and then we have the collective unconscious. Mm-hmm. So we are in a massive evolution right now, massive. Mm-hmm. So things will be coming to balance, and they may not appear to be that great mm-hmm. on the surface, but it's really important that we understand we're going through a cycle. So how can we be the most effective during the transit of that cycle?
Right. Well, and so, because so like they say underbelly, because it really just seems that, forgive me for my listeners, because you may have heard me say this before, but it just kind of feels like bad behavior has been rewarded in variety of different ways. And yeah, in terms of how we've progressed, and how I've seen my life progress and how I've seen kind of the world progress, it was very exciting, because it's like, okay, you could see these new things unravel and just go, okay, yeah, we're growing as a people. And yes, there is this old energy over here that is, that is awful, and it's rearing its ugly head and such. But again, it's almost like this bad behavior here has been rewarded, and so it continues to be rewarded. And so, what are your thoughts about that?
I think it serves a purpose. It forces us to take our stand for what we believe is true and right. And I believe that the bad behavior voices are much louder than the good behavior voices, right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So it's interesting. I had a conversation with this recently, and what I've really encouraged people to do is to look at everything that's happening as a mirror, and where in my life am I reflecting that bad behavior? What can I do to clean that up in my own life? Because let's face it, each one of us has the opportunity to be more than we are, to really live that potential. So I think it's very important to recognize that, to buy into the fear and to be distracted by the fear, we each have a responsibility to be the best that we can be. And that's how we serve our own lives, and that's how we serve humanity. So I think there's a couple of really key points, which is, where am I not staying in my own personal power? When we hear news and we go, really? That really happened? So in our own lives, where are we maybe not being fully present, fully aware of where our behavior is either contributing or not contributing? So it can appear that all of these things are outside of us, and of course they are, but on the same hand, if we're working with the law of attraction, the power of intention, what's really exciting is that we can create an opportunity inside ourselves that is one of mastery and one of complete, complete confidence moving forward. Is it hard? Absolutely. Is it possible? Absolutely. And it's worth it. And that's where I think we really have to keep vision and clarity, and that's where the ABCs of intuition that I teach come in, because when we come from a place of high vibration, no matter what's happening in the world around us, we can keep our center.
So what is it? You just said the ABCs of intuition. What can you give us just a quick what that is?
Sure.
Yeah.
The ABCs of intuition are kind of like a mini form of mindfulness. If we just take 1 minute throughout our day to just slow down, unplug from all thought. So ABC stands for aware, breathe, and connect.
Okay.
So what are we connecting to? Well, we're connecting to this massive energy field that serves us, that serves nature, that holds the planets and the galaxies in space. I mean, that's a powerful energy. So when we hear the news and we hear the latest, we get distracted by that, and we forget how powerful we are and how tapped in we are. That power is only useful if we're using it. So that's where the ABCs come in, and I've been using that for years. And I can't tell you the number of clients that will, I'll hear from them, frequently or years later, that will say, Cheryl, you have no idea how much the ABCs have helped me. So it's quick, it's easy to remember.
Right.
And very powerful to apply.
Sure. Okay. So if we do that now, so if I'm hearing you right, then it's about just coming back into our own power and just, again, being aware, breathe, and connect to that higher source that connects everything. And so we're to connect in with that power. What do we do with that then?
Well, that's where it gets really exciting.
Yeah.
I think what's really important to remember is that the only way to really use that power is to go through the times that are challenging.
Yeah.
And that's where we can get hard on ourselves, and we can become feeling the despair, the defeat when things don't turn out the way we want them to. I think if we could remember the bigger picture, that's okay.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line here is to really get into the practice of the ABCs to no longer delay our peace.
Right.
Because if we can let the challenge there and let peace be there at the same time, well, what do we do with that? Well, that's where we really create something magic out of the mundane. That's where we really rise above and have, this masterful experience in the nitty-gritty of everyday life. So what do we do with that? Well, that's where we do, I believe, course correct. And course correct in ways that are really, I want to say, powerful. Because if we don't course correct, we're going to stay stuck in our old patterns.
Right.
So it's a really wonderful introduction to a new way of living, which is not only owning our power, but really having the experience and seeing our own progress. I think it's so important to remember we are in an evolution.
Right.
The entire planet is in the dark night of the soul. And so if we have the presence of mind, we can make that work for us and not feel not be so hard on ourselves.
Right. So that's interesting. You say the entire planet is in the dark night of the soul. Is that just recent? Is that how long has that been going on, and how long will it go on?
Well, I think we're in a birth canal right now, to be honest. And I think that's why there are so many political, economical crises going on in the world. If we can look at them as birthing pains.
Yeah.
We are birthing a new consciousness. We are birthing a new economy. How long is it going to go on for? Well, you know what? A long time. Right. So, again, I think it's important to take a step back and really notice that at times things do take a long time, but we can absolutely come back to our place of empowerment and even joy in the most difficult of circumstances. So, the predictive quality of 2017 is there is going to be more massive change. Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if again, we see some economic crashes. And so I would encourage people to really take that time out to, for example, to just go into your imagination. And that's where intuition really works, right? Mm-hmm. Go into your imagination. How can you best be prepared for some of these changes that are coming down?
Right.
Because this information is always here. It's our willingness to be open to the changes that we have to make.
Okay. So 2017, tell us you just said that you see more massive changes and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else in terms of what else would you say to people about 2017?
I think 2017 is the year of personal responsibility. It's the year to finish any incompletes. And it's the year to get really, really clear on what you do enjoy. Because when we come from that place, we're coming from an energy that feeds our soul and feeds creativity and feeds new ideas. And again, that's where those ABCs of intuition come in, mindfulness, which is that when we're aware of how we are processing the information, then we're very aware of where we are shortchanging our own energy, our own creativity. So in terms of 2017 then, there will continue to be some upheaval, of course. There's going to be lots of upheaval. But I think there's also opportunity. Mm-hmm. And because with any upheaval, there is change. So how can I best fill that need in the marketplace? How can I best fill that need in me so that I can be really creative and enjoy my experience and not be afraid or threatened by outside events or people or circumstances?
Right.
So.
Okay. So in terms of people just finding success in 2017. So I'm hearing, kind of come back to your center, come back to being aware and connecting in, and finding those opportunities, being aware that those opportunities exist. Mm-hmm. What else could you say? I
think the importance of I want to say having more fun in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we're dealing with challenge and difficult times, which I believe are coming up, there's also the other side of that. So when we can look at it again, it's all about mindset, right?
Yeah.
The primal brain keeps us from accessing our intuition. It keeps us from accessing our innovative, creative ideas. It really, in a way, it keeps us from finding our answers and our solutions. So when we can recognize that that's what's going on by how we feel and slip back into, okay, this doesn't feel so great. How can I bring myself back to my center? Then we're into a position of creation. We're into a position of solution. So for 2017, it's all about solution. It's all about creativity. It's all about innovation. These can be, there's some tough times here, but there also can be exciting times if we choose to look at it that way.
Right. So would you say that this has been, because again, you're not the only person that has said this, but it just seems a little bit like 2017 is just a more difficult year. But is that true, or is it just been is it kind of presenting itself as a more difficult year than past years, or is this just kind of normal? That's like, again, we've been going through changes. I think even since. Sorry, my hummingbird just came to tell me he needs food. Pops up in my window and goes, "Come on, feed me." So, let's just say since the harmonic convergence, 1987, I think that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be hanging around for longer. We've shifted the tide, but now it's like, are we really kind of getting into that time where we really have to kind of roll up our sleeves and we gotta work through it. Now it's like, okay, we've been working, things have been changing, shifting. Now the hard stuff comes. Is that kind of it, or is that, or is it?
I think it is, and I don't, I'm sure anyone listening to this right now is going to go, "Oh, really? Have we had enough?" But you know what? Look at it this way. It's kind of like that last push. I want to say in childhood, it's that last push. So that's why this can, as hard as it is, can also be very, very exciting.
Yeah.
We have resilience. So wouldn't you rather know, like, there's some big stuff coming down. Wouldn't you rather know so that you can prepare for it?
Right. Okay. So, in order to kind of, I guess in just kind of maybe wrapping up, or just, because it's interesting, because as I've talked to you and others, they're just, again, it's just like, oh, like you said, oh, really? Is this the way it's going to be? When's it going to get easier again? Right. But is there anything that we can, any last words that you can say that, hey, just, do these things. It's all going to be cool. Or with a positive message, I guess.
Well, here's the positive.
It's really negative. It's just that, I know for me, it's just like, oh, really? I just, because I'm all about ease. I'm all about, let's just make this as easy as possible. And, and so how do we do that?
Well, you know what? I think that's a perfect segue. And I want to use synchronicity as an example.
Yeah.
Your hummingbird just came to be fed, right?
Yeah.
The hummingbird represents joy.
Right.
So kind of cool to do like a mini intuitive consultation here for all of us, which is feed joy. So the bottom line here is what's happening is we're becoming masters of change. And
right.
That's exciting.
Sure.
So we're changing our viewpoint and what change means. To the primal brain, it's very threatening. To the spirit inside of us, it's like, well, why would we be afraid of change?
Right.
So in a way, I think we need to look at 2017 as the year that I become the master of the universe, because I have that power, and it all happens inside.
Right.
Prosperity is an attitude. It's a mindset.
Right.
And that's what we have the opportunity to take into 2017.
Oh, that's very cool. I like that. Yay.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
Yeah, again, I believe that we have that opportunity to, I mean, I love change, and I think, again, when you can live in more awareness, then the ability to adapt to that change so it is as beneficial as possible for you, that we can then create and attract our circumstances in a much different way. So, but I think that last year was such a distracting year, right? And and like you say, it just kind of takes us off, and has us focus in the wrong direction. And so, and certainly I know I was, and I was just like, really?
I know.
But by being able to keep your focus and keep your and stay in awareness, that allows you then to, again, make choices and decisions based on what you're seeing, so it works for you. And again, it's all about our response to things, right? To what's happening around us. And so again, I love what you just said in terms of just being, masters of the universe, because if we can master change, because so many people hate change, and that always, baffles me. But I think most people make the distinction that change is bad, and I don't make that distinction anymore. To me, it's just like, okay, what's next? Woo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and you're very fortunate, because as much I found in my even my own experience, as much as I'm open to change and I like change as well, there are times where the change is difficult. It's very, very difficult. Mm-hmm. And so again, what I like to, and I hope we're not going over time here, but I have to share this with everybody, because when I came across it, it just totally said to me, be the master of your own universe. We have 100 to 200 trillion cells in our bodies. Mm-hmm. Each one of them is having billions of chemical reactions per second. Mm-hmm. Did you know that we have 1,000 times more cells in our bodies than there are stars in the Milky Way?
No, that's amazing.
1,000 times. So it's like, really? And I don't have to tell this body to do a thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of intelligence, is it not going to tell me how to manage change?
Right.
And so if I'm not taking the time to check in, of course I'm going to be off my center. So that's where this becomes very exciting, because we're going, wait a minute, it's all inside. And that I do have control of.
Right.
So
right.
We're kind of sitting on this superpower energy that we really haven't been using as much as we could.
Yeah.
And that's where the underbelly that comes up is good. It shakes us up. It goes, well, okay, where am I? How come I'm not using this amazing intelligence inside of me? Why couldn't I use it more?
Yeah. I love it. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. So, Cheryl, anything else before? I mean, I'm gonna ask you about how to get in touch with you and anything that you'd like to share around that. But before we do that, is there anything else that you'd like to wrap up with?
Sure. What I'd love to wrap up with is take your stand. Take your stand for joy. Take your stand for the prosperity that you know that you can have by just paying attention to this energy field inside of you.
Yeah.
Be the master of your own universe.
I love it. Yay. That's great. Awesome. Well, so, okay, great. And so tell us how we can get in touch with you, how the people who are listening to us right now, how they can connect with you if they're just drawn to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So my website is theintuitivelife.com. And, I'm always teaching courses or doing individual consultation, mentoring, coaching, etc. And so quite often I'll have webinars. So I just invite people to check in on my website, sign up for those free reports on mindfulness, how to use the ABCs of intuition, how to really be the master of your own universe this year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. I sure appreciate it. Again, it's always so wonderful to connect with you. And I love your insights. I love the whole thing about superpowers and becoming the master of your universe. I think that's very exciting.
It is. Yeah.
Well, here's to an awesome 2017.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All right.
Karen.
Okay.
Have fun and enjoy.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks.